Hi, this is Lori again. I've been praying, spending a lot of time with the Lord, and I really felt like He was saying, because in one of my last videos, the one about my dream about Jesus, um, I felt like He was telling me that I need to start giving some of my testimonies, the things that He's done for me throughout my life, and the wonderful blessings He's done to encourage others. So I'm going to make a series of probably different ones as I feel the Lord leads me. But this one time was when I was pregnant with one of my daughters or sons. I don't know which one it was because I miscarried. And I was like up to 4 months pregnant. And I remember the doctor wanted to do a D&C, and I said no. If this baby, because I heard so many stories of people that they've been told that their baby wasn't alive, or the baby was going to be damaged, and then they decided to keep their babies, and their babies were fine. So I said no. If God wants this baby, it'll go when it's time, in His timing. I'm not going to do anything to, remove it. So I was like, and I remember when I was pregnant, I ended up with a fever, and I think that's what destroyed, how the baby died anyways in my stomach. But they said it was still growing, but they couldn't hear a heartbeat. So I was, I didn't want to do anything until I knew for sure. But anyways, I was upstairs in my old farmhouse, and I remember getting some really bad contractions. I mean, it was just like full-blown labor, and I was having a lot of pain because I remember I was at Walmart, and I remember seeing spotting, and so I went home, and then I started getting heavy contractions. And I remember laying on the floor in my husband's office upstairs. It was on a carpet, and I was just praying. I was just praying in tongues because I was in pain. And I don't even know if anybody else was home at the time. I don't think they were. They were downstairs or whatever. And I just kept crying and praying in tongues. And weird. But I just kept praying in tongues. And then I had like a vision. I saw the Lord. And what I saw was, I just want to make sure I say it right. It's hard to explain. I saw Him in His robe. And I couldn't see His face, but I knew it was Him, but all I could see is His eyes. And there was so much love looking back at me. I don't know how to explain it. His eyes, I can't even tell you the color. All I knew was I could feel the presence of His eyes looking at me. And I kept saying, "You're here to take my baby, aren't you? You're here to take my baby." And He just kept looking at me, and He had His hands cupped like this, like both. I got the other one. I have to hold the phone, but He had both hands cupped out, like He was here to take it. And He looked down where I was miscarrying, and then He looked back at me in the eyes, and I couldn't see His mouth or anything move, but I could hear Him saying, "But don't you trust me?" And I remember praying in tongues, but in my head I kept thinking, I'm saying, "You're here to take my baby, aren't you? You're here to take my baby." And He would look down and cup His hands and then look back at me, and there was so much love in those eyes. I mean, I just couldn't comprehend that kind of love, and it was so peaceful. And He just kept saying, "Don't you trust me?" And I said, "Well, Lord," I said, "if it's your will, then let it be done." And I had no pain, and I saw Him carry my baby up to heaven. And I had such a peace in that, even though it was heartbreaking. Because I was raised Catholic, and, not all Catholics believe that, but back then, I'm 61, so back then, we were always taught if you didn't get the baby baptized in time, it wouldn't go to heaven. So the Lord knew that. He knew a deep part of me would have wondered. And He knew I needed to see Him literally take my baby with Him. So I named my baby Francis, because I didn't know if it was a boy or girl. And I always loved the story of St. Francis and what he did. And we're Pentecostal now, but it's to me, if you're a Christian, you're a Christian. It doesn't matter which way you like to worship the Lord. It's still, you still love the Lord, and you still, but I ended up marrying, my husband's, Pentecostal, but I grew up Catholic. And so it was just, he's just amazing. He cares about every little thing. And if you turn to him and pray to him, he'll answer your prayers. Now, this is just one story. I have so many stories. I mean, God, so many things he came through with, but I'll put them on separate so that it can minister to each person who's going through different things. But he's amazing. I remember one time when I was single and I had a store in Connecticut, and it was like a Christian bookstore and stuff. And I went like 3 days and I had no customers. And I said, Lord, I'm trying to be obedient. But I said, it was a new store. I said, it was like on Route 1 on the Post Road. And it was like they had a big turnaround there. But I said, Lord, I need a sign. I said, if you really want me to stay here, this was when I was first really getting into realizing that God is there for me. I said, if you really want me to stay here, then I need a sign from you. Okay. And all of a sudden I had this huge tractor trailer pulled right in front of my window in the parking lot. And it just parked there. And he was there for like maybe 7 minutes. And then he just turned around and left. And on the truck, it said in huge letters, G, period, O, period, D, period. Big billboard of God. Except it was for guaranteed overnight delivery. But it was just so cool. I burst out laughing. I was like, God is so cool. He is so amazing. If you look for him, you'll see him. You'll find him. He's just so cool. And then another time, because I was reading my Bible, and he said, you're never alone. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So I said, okay. So I was going to do like an outside sale. So I was putting up one of those canopies with the 4 posts. It was like a tent type thing. And I was struggling to get it up because you have to have someone hold the other end. And I was by myself. I was a single mom then. And I finally got frustrated. And I said, Lord, you said I'm never alone. You said you'd be with me. Well, how in the world am I supposed to do this all by myself? And he spoke just so clear he spoke in my head. He said, nail the 2 sides to the building while you're putting up the other post. And I was like, oh my God, that is so awesome. That's wisdom. It's something you learn that God gives you that you never knew. And it worked. And I was so amazed. I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of that. So I just nailed up, they have the little rings in the canvas where you have to put the poles through. He said, nail that side up to that side of the building while you get the other pegs in. And then I did, while you get the other posts in. And I did that and it worked. And I was like so fascinated. And it's like, so many little things. If you just ask him for direction, he makes it easy. He's amazing, He's just so cool. I love him. But anyways, and then I'll give you one more store story. Then another time I was there, and because when you're starting a new business, you can go days and weeks without even having a customer. So I was praying again, and I said, Lord, you gave me the God symbol that was like few weeks earlier, and I said, but now I said, I need customers. I need the money. I was a single mom, and I said, I'm going to close if somebody doesn't come in here within the next hour. Okay, I'm just going to shut down. And this little old lady, now you tell me, I know she was an angel unaware because she was a little old lady. She had a feather in her hat. She come in the store, and she said, hello. Just like that. So I just looked at her weird because it was right after I just said that. And I looked up to God and I said under my breath, I said, someone that's going to buy something, because she was just looking around. She had this big feather hat. So then she picked up a soda or something and paid for it. But I was curious because she came in right after I prayed. So I said, so where are you from? She said, oh, far away, far, far away. And I was like, I said, so where are you from? She goes, oh, I'm not from around here. And I said, well, where are you from? She goes, oh, far away, far, far away. And I was like, oh. So I was just watching her because it was so unusual. And she bought something that was like 50 cents or something. She left the store. I got hit. I did like that last hour, $300 just in that. And that was a lot of money back then. That was for my store, because that was back in, I don't know, I was probably 25, 26 years old when that happened, and I'm, 61 now, but it was just so amazing. He's so amazing. I'm sorry if this is close, but I don't have a stand right now for my camera, but he is so amazing. He's a wonderful, awesome God, and you need to get to know him. You need to expect to hear from him. He created us because he wants children. He wanted communication. And that's what prayer is. And it's not just praying like, la, la, la. It's talking to him every day. If I go out in my car, I'm talking to him. If I'm having my coffee, I'm talking to him. I want to know what he thinks, because he wants what's best for us. He always wants, us to have an abundant life. So anyways, that concludes my little stories. I have more. I'll be posting them as I feel the Lord leads me to. But I thank you for watching, and if you like this video and you want to hear more and you don't want to miss out, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I pray you all have a blessed day. God bless.